Let's take it straight to our first corporate of the day. Nazara Technologies is on our radar today. The company recently, if you remember, did a fundraising of over 500 crores from SBI Mutual Funds and Zerodha co-founder Nikhil Kamath. Nitish Mittersain, who is a joint MD and CEO at Nazara Technologies, joins us now to discuss an outlook on the business. Nitish, thanks a lot for joining in. Appreciate your thoughts here on the channel. I just want to start by asking you about what your cash balance is now post the fundraising and how do you plan to utilize the proceeds?
Sure. So at the Nazara level, we'll have about, I think, about 750 to 800 crores of cash. Plus a subsidiary, approximately an additional 400 to 500 crores of cash. So cumulatively, I think we would have about 12 to 1300 crores of cash on our balance sheet.
Okay, 12 to 1300 crores of cash. And how do you plan to utilize that? If you can give us, the strategy over the next 12 months?
Yeah, sure. For Nazara, I think the strategy is very clear. There are two ways we're going to deploy this cash. First, of course, in our waterfall is, deploying the cash for organic growth of our existing businesses. And wherever we can push the business forward, we will aggressively do that. And the second, as you know, is we are always been very acquisitive. Our acquire and scale business model and playbook has worked very well for us. And at this point of time, we see a lot of opportunities, value opportunities where we believe we can acquire businesses and, significantly scale them both in terms of their revenue, margins and profitability. So I think both these things are what the cash will get used for.
Hi, Nitish. Good morning. Give us a sneak peek at least. Should we hear something in terms of an inorganic growth in the coming quarter? Because you're sitting on a large sum of cash. And what could the acquisition target be? Will it be a couple of 100 crores? Will it be larger than that?
Over the last year, my team has worked on a very strong deal pipeline, if I want to call it that. And we've looked at a lot of game developers. Core gaming IPs is something we're very excited about. The acquisition we had done last year on Animal Jam, company we bought called Wildworks, has turned out pretty well for us. So that playbook is kind of taking shape. And we think we can replicate that playbook at a larger scale. So yeah, I think for us, we're looking at opportunities where companies are having revenues of at least, I would say, in the 100 crore ballpark range at a minimum level and north of that. So we'd like to do transactions that can kind of move the needle a bit for us. And also, we really believe that we can add a lot of tangible value to the business.
So in the coming quarter, should we hear in this calendar year?
I am hopeful of that.
Oh, interesting. All right, just one more point. You've raised close to around 500 crores, but I think you had an approval for around 750 crores. So yes. Will you go the distance then? Will you go ahead and raise the remaining money as well, 200 odd crores, or are you done with the fundraising?
I think the shareholder approval we had was valid for a year. So I think we will potentially raise the balance at an appropriate time, but I don't expect to do that immediately.
Okay. All right. Nitish, hi, good morning. Let's just actually move on to, another thing, which I think has been an industry-wide issue, not just you. You have a real money gaming business, right? Which is about 5% of your sort of total. Yes. Now, companies like Delta have been issued GST notices. Could you tell us if you've also sort of received one?
We did, so two things. Our open play business is, in the Q1 of FY24, it was about 4.5% of revenue and actually contributed less than 1% of our EBITDA. So it's not a very large business for us, and therefore, any impact on that business is relatively less material for our overall financial performance. In terms of the GST notice, we did intimate one notice that we had received for 2.83 crores, but that was unrelated to the current issue that is ongoing in the industry.
Okay. What's but your business is pretty much like what Delta offers, right? I mean, in terms of how the business is.
Yes, the real money gaming is skill-based, what is called skill-based real money gaming. Yeah. Delta predominantly runs a poker business. Our business is called Classic Rummy. And from October 1st, the new GST applicability has come in place, and we've kind of complied with that. So that's the current business. We believe that, while that business will take a short-term hit in terms of profitability, I think with improving regulatory clarity and taxation clarity, if you remember, we've spoken many times, and I've often said that for us at Nazara, what is very important is to operate in a framework that is clear. And I think that is being achieved. So we are actually looking at this particular segment of our business with, I would say, a glass half full rather than half empty kind of perspective.
Now, will you invest behind this business now? I mean, your sort of thought process remains the same?
Yes,
Or
I
do you
think.
think, yeah.
No, I think we will look at more aggressive investments going forward in this segment. We have, of course, got to wait for some of the dust to settle before we start doing that.
And what would an acquisition, etc., which you were referring to earlier, be in this segment? Or you think that's stretching it?
I think it's a bit early for. I think the dust needs to settle in this segment.
Yeah.
Everything's taking place. Some of the business models are getting reset based on the new taxation. So probably in a couple of quarters would be the right time for us to take a more, tangible position on it.
How has business been in Q2 for you so far? I'm trying to understand whether the World Cup, has any. I mean, do you have any kind of monetizable potential from this World Cup? Any IPs around it at all? And in general, how has business been?
Sure. As you know, we're in the silent period, so I won't be able to comment specifically on our Q2 numbers. But with specific to World Cup, there are two businesses or products of ours that get positively impacted. One is the Sportskeeda business, because that's a sports content destination. Obviously, you have a peak in traffic and user interest during the World Cup in terms of cricket. So that should see some benefit. And we also have the World Cricket Championship or WCC game, which is the most popular cricket game in India. And again, we see during such cricket season, the performance and the user base and the interest seems to peak.
So for the gaming business overall, right? I mean, is this I know you're in the silent period, but is this a run rate that you can sustain? Gaming grew almost 25% in the quarter gone by. Esports was a little more muted, but you had spoken about how that was because some of the IPs got deferred. So on a sustainable basis, what kind of growth rates are we looking at?
I think the opportunity for gaming in India and gaming from India for the world, right, is immense. And I think India is going to emerge in the coming years as a gaming nation of the world. So I think we're only scratching the surface, and the runway for growth is, in my view, at least for an Indian company, unlimited in the near future.
But can you put a number to that? I mean, what are we looking at? 25%, 30%, or just in the very near term? I mean, of course, medium to longer term, it's a far larger story. But in the near term, is this 25, 30% growth rate something that you can sustain through FY 24-25?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, all right. So say in the next, next 3 years or so, the revenue should be double.
Yes. Yeah, I think if we do not do that, we would have underperformed significantly.
Yeah, going by your track record, you should definitely be there.
So me and my team are very aggressively pushing towards that growth or better.
Okay, just one last question. Back to that the GST and real money gaming business. You said that one notice you kind of told exchanges about was for another issue. Can you tell us with this specific, with what Delta, the notice that Delta has received, are you expecting, a notice? Have you heard anything at all?
I mean,
because
we haven't.
The business is the same. Yeah.
Yes, we haven't received any notice at this point of time, and if we do, we will surely intimate the exchanges when we do.
Okay. All right. We'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Nitish, for joining us. Great speaking with you. And it's a pleasure having you with us here on CNBC TV18. Good luck with your plans and growth as you're outlining. So aggressive on the growth front, looking for acquisitions, and they've got a war chest now to be able to do that. 873 on Nazara.